I am the proud mother of a 24-year-old who lives with severe autism. So being told no, being told he can't, was all my life. Well, not all my life, all his life. And I fought and I fought and I fought. His behaviors that are associated with his autism, that really can't do too much about, but I would fight.
Yeah.
I would fight teachers, not fight, but
Push back.
push back. You have a degree, a general ed and a special education degree. You were going to teach him.
Yeah.
It was easier when he was younger, because he would run around, but yet if you asked him his addition, he heard it, and then he would still spin. He was just spinning and spinning, but he would get that. Cursing. I can't do anything about his behavior, but when he gets wrong, he's going to be able to sign a check or whatever the case may be. He can write in cursive. He can sight read. His sight reading is probably at a college level. Comprehension, we're still working on that. Is probably at a 4th grade level, so it's probably enough to read within this room.
Sure.
But that was a constant fight because I would not accept no. There's no way you have a college degree, you have a master's degree, not the same master's, but it's something different. This is your profession. You're going to think outside the box. And I took that same mindset and just started organically helping struggling learners first. Don't always need an IEP. Sometimes you just need to think differently. I learned that even though he's on the spectrum, something about black boys, they always do this with the chair and they never fall back. They never fall, right? So he's still a man, and I always had him surrounded by what I consider strong black men that didn't know what continent they were snatched from, whether Europe or the Caribbean, but they were, just to give from that. But I always fought for that, even with learning how to take a test, right? Because I think, and he's going to do greater things. That was difficult, but he knows how to, the mechanics of taking the test. And I like what you said, young lady, about I took a course at some place to study the brain, because I needed to know how the brain works for other children so I could figure out how his brain worked with his exceptionality. Again, hard work. I think all teachers need to take a course on how the brain works. So
or take mine.
Do that. But I'm with everybody on this. Like, my degree is in management, and then higher degrees are like finance stuff. But organically, because I know we're all different religions. I believe in Jesus Christ, and I believe I'm a trustee over my son. If he did not want me to have this son, then I wouldn't have had this son. So it was my responsibility to make sure he had what he needed so that he could enjoy life. Now, he has 24-hour care only because of his behaviors. For example, he could probably go from here to the corner store, but if somebody called his name, because we're a port city, you can find people on land, but only Liam Neeson can find people on a boat. If you look at the takers thing, so once you're on the barge, that's it. So I have to do that, but I always strongly encourage people, fight for your child. Don't depend on the school district. Don't depend on Board of Ed or where at. That's your child. You make sure that the people that they get that check every 2 weeks, whether children learn or not. If some of these schools got paid by the achievement of the child, they would either cheat or be poor. And it's only a small amount of those teachers, but those are the ones that our children our African American children aren't learning. Or, you have these biases. Oh, because you live in a low income neighborhood, it's not going to happen. I know I grew up poor, but yet I still matriculated and graduated from college and that sort of thing. So, but you can't help biases, but we as a people need to go back to when we couldn't go to Woolworths. And I know I'm going way back. You couldn't go to Horn and Hardin and those kind of things. We had to be together. So your role model was the dentist, because the dentist couldn't go nowhere. Your role model was the mechanic, because you got a car, somebody need to fix it, and those type of things. We had those role models. We had strong women as well, because we couldn't go anywhere. I don't know where it splintered off in history, where I've arrived now, I can go somewhere else. But if we just, and I'm going to end with this, if we just get our children together, teach our children our history other than, Martin Luther King and, Frederick Douglass and the commercial stuff. Because I learned through reading that people hated Martin Luther King when he was living, but now that he's gone and he's no longer a threat, now we love him. Hated Malcolm X, but now that he's gone and he's no longer a threat, we love him. Hated Muhammad Ali, but when he got the dementia now, because he's no longer a threat, now everybody, loves him. So I just want to end with that. I was one that always heard no, still hear no, even though he graduated, but I would still fight because I believe it's my God-given duty to make sure he has and to share this information with and encouragement with as many people as I can, because once I go transition, I can't take it with me, so I want to share it. So I want to thank you for being here. Thank you, Mama Gail, for having this forum, and just sit and listen and learn. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. I mean, it's a bit of a testimony, so still strong. Yes, ma'am?
I just wanted to say something specifically to you, because I never talk to these kinds of things, but my daughter came over and she's talking about all of your stuff. I'm a behavior specialist and I work with adults with autism. So after this,
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Cecilia's also being humble. She's also a board member.
Thank you. I was going to say that.
For the school district, for the Board of Education. I love working with Cecilia, even though every board member doesn't always agree. The one thing we do agree on, and I'm the president of the Board of Education, but the one thing we do agree on is students can learn, and student achievement. And I'm not going to say these people's names, but I've had conversations with elected officials in Philadelphia right now, and when I start talking student achievement, say that is a losing argument. No one wants to hear about that. That's not the political argument that's going to get you what you need. And I refuse to believe that Philadelphians believe that whether their children can read or write and do math, right, is a losing argument. So I just wanted to affirm Board Member Thompson, and we are focusing. So we do have our own policies called goals and guardrails. But once a month, we're still working out the kinks, where we look at ourselves and we say, can our children read or write? And we ask the school district, what are you doing about it, right? So that's what we're also doing it in the charter sector in a different way, to say, hey, we understand that you have the cultural things, but are you teaching these kids to read and write? Because we're tired of hearing professors at colleges say kids from the charter sector and from the public school sector need to take remedial courses, or they're quitting school. Our kids want to do low-tech stuff, right? And they can't take the standard. I know standardized test is an issue, but they can't take the industry test to get into the NOCTI, to get into the profession enough, right? So that's something that we hear everyone saying. So I'm glad I'm came in this space. It's like it feels like we're actually on the right track. We're focusing on student achievement. Yes, we want our children to feel loved. Yes, we want socially appropriate, culturally appropriate things. Yes, we want children to learn the real Black history, all the other histories for the diversity of the school district. But our ultimate why is make sure our children can graduate with a degree that's worth the paper that is written. And enough is enough. So some of the mental math stuff, so the sad part is a lot of the stuff that with the mental math and stuff like that, going back to basics, we started it earlier on, but now we're trying to figure out how do we reach the kids who passed first grade, second grade, third grade. So I have a third grader, and they're learning mental math in a way that I didn't even learn it, right? But with that being said, at least let me know that we're on the right track. So anyway, I'm gonna give you my card. We can chat.
Oh, absolutely. I just transitioned out of working at a high school at Vaux, right around the
You
corner. And I've worked, with West Philly High, Sierra High School over the past 5 to 7 years, several high schools, South Philly High. And the real issue is really simple. Right now, no one in these schools are being held accountable, as the sister said earlier, with their degree, what their diploma tells them to do. We don't even have to go to the PhD. What the students are learning right now. Everybody with a diploma is certified in knowing what's going on is unacceptable. So the reason why it's happening is because, like you said, the lawmakers that are in place, some asking the right question, but that question should only be a demand, number one. Because, posing questions and doing research when all the research is done. You can really play one Martin Luther King speech. You understand? And everything that needs to be said is there, but we haven't organized and presented that as a piece of evidence so that we can move on, because people are just not doing their job. The principals are not held accountable to do their job, and neither are the teachers or anybody. And as a result of all the damage of the children and the families, the culture is out of control, and the level of training for the climate staff, which I've been employed by a private nonprofit, and I got employed by the school district. They actually give a survey on Google Forms asking you to do 3 scenarios, and then you're hired on what you would do in a situation scenario, and then you're hired to do climate and not trained to be proactive and preventative and do all the things that we talk about, read about, watch TV about every day, because people are just choosing not to do their job. You know what I mean? So I just want to say that that's the real thing, because if everybody was held accountable to do their job, all our family and children learned how to read tomorrow in one instant.
Thank you. Brother, thank you so much. I want to give him a hand. Y'all want to move, get up and move steps or something before I'm going to get them. Like a 5-minute break, don't take long, y'all.